common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now here on Katz and Cosby, we have the former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump, KT McFarland. KT, my jaw dropped today when I heard President Biden. We've talked about sort of his weak leadership. He was asked about Iran, which has showered Israel with ballistic missiles, close to 200 of them in the last 24 hours. And what does our president say? Iran is, quote, way off. That's a direct quote. Way off. I'd say way off course is how he said it. That is disgraceful. What a wimp we have in the White House.
Well, the only thing off course was those missiles themselves. They didn't hit anything, or hit very little. And so in a funny way, I guess he's probably saying the truth in his own mind. Look, here's the upside of all of this. Because of the weakness of the Biden administration, because of the Biden-Harris refusal to support Israel, slow-walking delivery of weapon systems so essential to Israel's self-defense, what did Israel do? They had no choice. They did it alone. So the cyber attack that they conducted, they didn't need permission from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or anybody. They just did it. And they did it brilliantly, strategically, and it has served to wipe out all the senior leadership of Hezbollah, take out half of their missile launchers. And in addition to that, they're now going to, they've now got Hezbollah so back on their hind legs that Israel's going to go in and finish the job. They've already more or less finished the job with Hamas. Now they're going to do Hezbollah.
Which, by the way, KT, which is why the U.S. should be applauding. I mean, they are not only, they should be saying, what else do you need? Finish the job, not just for Israel, but for the world, for Western civilization. Do us, everybody, a favor.
You're so right, Rita. We should be thanking Israel for doing what nobody else had the nerve to do. And I think what's fascinating is that, so Iran launches this big, missile barrage. Israel responds. Mostly Israel defends itself, but then Israel has responded. And Iran has come back and said, well, we're done now. We're done. We've retaliated. So what that tells me is that the mullahs and the Iranian leadership, they're nervous that they're next. They've got to worry that all the assassinations, all of the targeting of the senior leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas, that, the Mossad probably has their addresses, too.
Yeah, but by the way, John has a great phrase. John, what is it? Like, watch when he goes to the bathroom that he doesn't have a firecracker show up or a pager goes off,
Absolutely. I think he's gone into special hiding where they have special bathrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
They're called from the palace to the outhouse.
We really are so sad about it. You can hear that, KT. John and I are so sad. Judge Weinberg?
KT, good to talk to you again. So if you were the insider at the White House and giving advice, what would you say the Israelis should do next?
Finish the job.
Okay, what is that? But more specifically.
Here's what. So if Iran looks like it's going to do anything in response and retaliate, if the next step, the next hair on the head of an Israeli that is harmed, then I think Israel goes and could do several things. It could take out some of the oil fields, could have the economic weapon. So deprive Iran of its essential revenues from their oil sales. So take out the oil weapon, take out those oil fields. And if Iran is pushing, if Iran wants a larger regional war, bomb the nuclear sites. For years, Israel has been kept at bay because Iran's threat was always, well, if you come after us, if you attack our nuclear sites, we're going to really obliterate you with Hezbollah and Hamas. Well, Hezbollah and Hamas are no longer. And so now the threat that Iran has always wanted, that threat's gone now. I mean, how does Iran defend itself if Israel decides to take it further? All of a sudden, Israel has established a great deterrent against Iran. Iran's already sent some of their weapons to Ukraine. They're showing that a lot of their weapons don't work. And they're also showing how penetrated their security services are. I mean, Judge, it's to the point where the Iranians set up an anti-Mossad unit to investigate and look for Mossad agents in Iran. And it turns out that the guy who headed the unit was, in fact, a Mossad agent. So
That is amazing. By the way, did you also see, KT, that President Biden came out today and he was asked, should the nuclear sites be hit? And he said, no, absolutely not. And also the UN Secretary General today, as we're talking about disgrace, he came out and said, there's really been huge violations of international law. And he cited Hezbollah, and the next word was IDF. He puts the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, in the same place as Hezbollah.
You know, this should be evidence to the next administration, hopefully, to the Trump administration, to say, okay, we want a different deal at the UN. We pay for everything at the UN. Our dues, our mandatory dues, are really high, much higher than anybody else's. So we're paying for everything. What if we just don't pay those dues? We have the option of not paying those dues, and then we would selectively pay for the parts of the UN which we think are good and decent and right, and we would earmark those. You know what the only punishment we have if we decide not to pay our dues? We don't get to vote in the General Assembly. You know, our vote means nothing in the General Assembly. Big whoop. Yeah. So we still have our seat on the Security Council. We still control. And if we did that, or even the threat of doing that to the United Nations, I think would pull the United Nations up really fast.
Well, thank you. Thank you, KT.
Yeah, KT, thank you so much. Good points. And listen, Trump had talked about that too, saying that would be a blessing if that happens. Thanks, KT. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.